All right, welcome to another session. We're talking about BrekkyClub. This is Chris Waixel, the chaplain at our high school, and we're talking about some of the scenarios that we might face. And so go back and listen to the video, which gives general instruction about the BrekkyClub, and we did other videos that talk about specific situations. In this one, we're going to cover a few more issues. So I'm going to start with one which can cover. They say, hey, that's really cool. I'm on Facebook. Do you add them on Facebook?
Oh no! Oh no! No! Okay, so one of the rules around privacy is that we won't get involved in any social media with the kids. If we set up anything from the school's point of view, it'll be school only, and it will be an invite only. Please do not friend them on Facebook. Do not Twitter them. Don't do anything hashtaggy or whatever it is. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
But yeah, you must keep your personal life personal and your professional relationship at a distance.
Okay, so if they say, I really want to contact you about something, no. Basically,
give them times when you're going to be here at the school,
yeah,
and say, well, I'm going to be here tomorrow. We can have a chat tomorrow. But yeah.
If they say, oh, I was talking to my mum and she really wants me to go to the youth group or something like that, say, okay, we'll get your mum to contact us or something like that. You know what I mean? Don't deal with the student. Let it be through the parent.
Okay, so for that information, that exact scenario happened, and you probably didn't realise this, but that exact scenario happened. We've had a kid come up, and we've had a mum come up and say to me, I want my kid to go to the youth group. Is there any youth groups around the area? And I got in contact with you and said, hey, I've got this scenario happening. What do we do about that? And I allowed you then to contact the mum.
Yeah.
So it was completely separate to the school's boundaries.
Yeah.
So we're not blurring the boundaries between church and state.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
At the primary school, this is a little bit different too, because often the parents are there. You get a lot more interaction with the parents at the primary school than you do in the high school. High school, I don't think I've met a parent. The primary school, you meet lots of parents because they often come in. So the rules that we have are for the kids. You are able to talk to the parents. The parents are their own people. Do you know what I mean? You don't be nasty or aggressive with them. But you can invite a parent. You can invite a parent to say, "Oh, do you want to have coffee?" Because you're getting on well with them and they're chatting with you. That's fine. You can't do it to a kid. You can't do it at the high school, but you can do it with a parent. So if it's coming through the parents, then that's a different level. Correct. But never ever try and step outside that boundary. So don't use Facebook. Now, we have a situation here where one of the students contacted the church and left a message on our church website, on our Facebook. So what we have there is a situation, just to let you know, if anyone somehow they find you, friend request you, send you a message, never ever enter into a one-on-one connection with there. What we do is we have a provision that if they do that, we have a group message that someone, maybe Madeline as our Blaze youth leader, can respond to them. Okay, because there's part of it and I might let Chris know that they've done this and things like that. But if they've done it outside of the school, but we don't ever make it a one-on-one personal thing, we always respond generally, and that group chat is always seen by others. Even though I might never respond to it, I get to read the conversation. Yeah. So you just know that
that's right.
even though it's Madeline's answering on behalf of the church, I can look in and see at any point what the conversation is. And
with you guys have always have often invited us to stuff at the church too. So not us as in the kids, but the school. Yeah. You've invited the machine gun preacher. Yeah. You've invited some of the staff to that, and a couple of staff have turned up to that and really enjoyed it. That doesn't now mean that we have allowed the doors to open for you guys to come in and start preaching at the school, because it's a completely different scenario. Yeah. So just like your primary school with the parents, it's a professional. It's more of a personal relationship rather than a professional relationship with the kids.
Yeah. So always just be aware of that and keep it. Make anything to do with the kids through the parents. If it can't be through the parents, or through the school or parent level. That's how that should work. So another question we had. So that's social media. Another one was bullying. What happens if you see bullying occurring?
Bullying is a really interesting thing. You need to know the difference between an incident and what is classed as bullying. Bullying is an ongoing targeted attack over a prolonged period of time. If you're seeing one incident, one thing happen, we can't assume that it's bullying. We can assume that it's an incident, and we can respond to it like an incident.
Right.
And that would be, again, going back to your team leader.
Yeah.
Going back, make that hierarchy the thing that is first and foremost in your mind. Go back to your team leader. This is what I saw. These are the two people involved. Let then Madison or the team leader then come and see me or the teacher in charge, and then we'll deal with it appropriately.
Yeah, I think that's really good. Don't try and understand too much. There's often a story behind it. Sometimes I think, oh, that's bullying, and then I find out the one who's looks like he's being bullied has been niggling the other one for a week, and it's like, the other one has finally snapped, but the other one's been the antagonizer.
And you know what, Australian I don't know whether it's protocol or if it's just mateship. We often look like we're bullying each other, We're calling each other names all the time, hey, Big Red, how you going? That sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And for a newcomer coming in, that might be, really confronting. It's two mates getting along.
Yeah.
So treat it the way, you should be treated from afar.
So always through, just inform. Don't carry it. Don't go, oh, I saw this guy, someone went to sit down, he pulled the chair and made him fall down. I realised what happened. Through the team, just make people aware. It's an incident. You can share. You don't have to carry that, but neither do you have to work out exactly what it is. You can just share it as an incident.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In doing that, we talked a little bit before. One of the other sessions about something happens. You sit down with the student. You spend some time with them. Is there what are the boundaries and guidelines for actually how much contact we can have individually, one-on-one? What's often BrekkyClub's good because it's in a group setting, even if you're having one-on-one conversation. Is there in particular guidelines we should use even in that? You said in one of the earlier sessions, particularly at the high school, no hugging. I know at the primary school the kids come up for a hug. You've got to be really careful. Just for everyone, I learned a technique from one of the child mentoring things that classes I went to. And they said you can't really push the child away, but you got to be careful. They said as a guy, he said this is what the instructor said. He said I always turn sideways, and I hug to the side, and I make it brief and hands up. And I said don't do anything that's going to look or possibly be misinterpreted. But and don't prolong or anything like that. So you can, if you have to, do it, but. Just be aware that at high school it's more of hands off. Not that I've had any of the guys come try and give me a hug anyway. That's
no, look,
but I don't know. But having said that, I reckon a year 9 girl might want to give Madeline a hug goodbye because that could be more of a thing that wouldn't be so awkward. So what's the guidelines there?
I think it's depending on the person and the personality of those people. And look, I'm sure. I may not have seen this, but I've heard it from my feedback that the girls love Madeline so much they're all hugging her, they're all around her all the time, and it's because of her personality, because she's infectious. So everybody wants to be around her, and that's fine. That doesn't bother me at all. What would bother me if a Year 10 boy came up and started doing that as well,
Yeah.
Not from the Year 10 boys' point of view, but from Mad's point of view, okay. What's the value add here? What's going to happen here with this? That's also the same for adult men and female students. Because I'm the only chaplain in the school, I often deal with girls. I won't have my door closed. I'll always have a door open. Always have in a big room that is very spacious. It's about being seen to be appropriate.
Yeah.
And if you're disappearing out of a closed office with an 18 or 17-year-old girl, people always go to the worst case scenario. And it may be the most innocent thing you've ever done, but don't seem to be, in that position where people are going to think the worst.
Yeah.
So always be open.
And it's a protection against yourself.
Absolutely.
Someone you help someone, you give an emotional help to them, they draw an emotional tie to you, they suddenly see your general encouragement as being something else because of their own troubles that they're going through.
That's right.
So you got to, by keeping those boundaries, you just make sure there's no danger of anything stepping over a line.
It reminds me of a scenario years and years ago when we were doing some youth group, and a very good friend of mine who I trust implicitly he had this relationship with, not relationship, but there was this young girl that kept on coming up to him and saying, I can't believe that you're who you are, and I love you, and I think you're great. His answer to her was, and it was brilliant, it was, you're not in love with me, you're in love with Jesus who's in me. And he said, because this is not, you find me safe, but it's not me, it's who is in me that you're attracted to. And so it's a really good thing to think, we're bringing something new to these kids. We're bringing life to these kids. We're bringing a power to these kids that they've never had before, that they've maybe never been involved in. And it's a really powerful thing to be involved in such a connected church, such a church that is full on with love of God, with each other, and just wants to give to their community. That is really infectious to kids, and they will gravitate towards you. But if you know that it's not you, that it's Jesus who dwells in you, then that's a really good thing to have in your mind, because you can actually say, you know what, I'm going to give you the love of Christ, but I'm going to do it from here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really cool.
Let me consult my assistant here.
Attorney?
Yeah. I thought we had one more question. Is there one more thing that we're going to ask Chris? This makes for good video.
Tell them no.
Oh, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
I suddenly remember. Thank you.
Yeah.
The angels. Sorry for the... We won't cut this out.
It's one take.
Yeah, one take. We've done all these in one take, so let's not spoil it. Let's not spoil it now. Okay. Last question, and then we're going to wrap this up. Final one is, what sort of discipline do we have? In terms of you're looking after a group of kids, and if they do something they're not meant to do, they start messing around, they start throwing the sugar packets around, or what can we do? We're volunteers in that place, but do we let them get away with things? What's our level of saying no to them?
Okay, so you're coming into the school. Okay, you're volunteers, and realistically, by rights, you have no authority whatsoever. However, you're running this group.
Yeah.
You're the ones that are running this group. You're running this space. So it's your space. You've invited these kids into this space. Therefore, there's appropriate behaviours that have to be adhered to when you're in this space. In saying that, it's not about you walking around with rulers smacking kids going, don't do this, don't do that. It's encouragement. Yeah. It's like, hey, come on, guys. Is that appropriate? Is this what we do when we're in BrekkyClub? Because what you do is you relate back to the previous Brecky clubs and relate back again and say, you know what? Come on. Yeah. This is obviously something's going on in you that you're doing this. If they're throwing chairs around, don't worry, you won't have to say much because the teachers will be all over them. Because again, there's teachers within the room, or not far away from the room. So it's really important that you are not seen as an authority. I make sure, this is why everybody calls me Wax. Yeah. Okay, I don't think any of the kids know my name. My name's Chris. Yeah. They all call me Wax because I'm not an authority within the school. I'm not there to discipline them. I'm there to encourage them. I'm there to help them. Yeah. So whenever I walk into the room, they all go, "Hey, Wax is here," And if I grab one of the kids and take him out, he knows he's not in trouble. Yeah. Okay. If Mr. Dawson walks in, everybody shrinks because
the principal's here.
Big Red,
and he's only here when you're in trouble.
That's right. Big Red's walked in, we're in trouble. Look out, And so all of a sudden, there's that authority. Yeah. So you make sure that if you've got a nickname, give the kids the nickname, because then you feel more on one-on-one level. If they start to stuff up, which inevitably they do, you can actually say, hey, come on, guys. Yeah. Yeah. This is not appropriate for BrekkyClub. We're here to have fun. We're here to get to know you guys. We're here to, do whatever it is you're going to do, but we do it in an appropriate manner. We've
got to have some guidelines, otherwise it just becomes anarchy.
And if that's right. And if it becomes out of control, where kids are just going up yours because you're new here and I'm going to test the boundaries, you know what? Go back to your hierarchy of leadership. Go back to MAD. Go back to the teacher. Make it happen. Make it seen though. That's the time where you go, right, done. Mr. Crozier or Mr. Smith or whoever's there, this is not appropriate.
So this guy, you say he's changing the channel on the radio. There's probably reasons and rules, what we're trying to do. We've got music playing, and he refuses. And you say, no, we can't change it. If he just keeps doing it, you don't discipline him, you go up the chain.
Absolutely. Go up the chain. And it's always about going up the chain, because in these situations, you want to cover, it's a CYA exercise, right? Cover your ass. Make sure that you're doing the appropriate things, the next thing, because then the next person in charge will actually do the right thing as well. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Chris.
My pleasure.
You've seen Chris's beautiful face here. This is actually, don't just learn from this, pray for this guy, pray for the work that's happening in the BrekkyClub and the other BrekkyClub, the other chaplains that are involved. Use this as a moment to stop and spend some time praying for what they're doing. I really appreciate you giving us this opportunity. If you have questions, I want you to pass them on to Madeline, or if you face something and you think, this would be great. Feed them in, and we can maybe do another session, 2 or 3 things that come up. Primary school, we've been focusing on the high school. If there's some things that are particular to you, still feed them in. We can get the answers that you need for that as well. But as you're going through this, if you face things and you say, I'm not sure how that would, that should be, handled, or you say, well, that was really unique. Maybe we should share that with others so that if they go through it, they've got our experience too. Please keep that feedback going. And also make sure that you're getting any appropriate training, especially in the safe children, looking after kids, child safety. And also, if you're doing mentoring, there is extra training. Even if you're not doing mentoring, one-on-one mentoring with the kids, there's we will show you. It's only about $25-$30, I think, to actually get that license. And it's online training. That's really helpful. It just means that you can tell the school, I've got this. You can show them your certificate. That gives them extra confidence in you. So maybe doesn't matter which primary or high school you're doing. If you want to really sort of improve your skills, maybe contact Madeline, and she can show you how to do that training online. Yeah. All right. Otherwise, we're praying for you guys. Some great testimonies come, especially in the first session when Chris was talking generally. Some really good feedback that we're getting. And I really appreciate the job you're doing. Bless you.
And before we go, just the last thing. You guys are most welcome in our space, okay, down there at the high school. So if you can come up with any other ways to do this better, then the place is yours. So go nuts. It's yours to control. And the teachers love you, the students love you, the principal team loves you. So it's your space. Create it the way you want it.
In saying that, some thoughts, things that they have a school assembly. I imagine guests are welcome to come and watch. Absolutely. That's a way of connecting with the kids at another time. You can go to their assembly. The primary school will be exactly the same. They might have a sports day. Just say, can I go and watch the kids play, run? Because if the kids see you, sort of watching them get their medals and stuff like that, it makes an extra connection. So when you go to the BrekkyClub, you've built on that. So don't just think, we're there, the BrekkyClub. We have built the reputation that now makes them more open to us, and use that appropriately and wisely. When I say that, don't be at the front gate trying to meet the kids when they leave. No, I'm talking about being involved in school things that are open to the public, and that you can be there and you can see them get an award and you can see them get something. So if you hear a kid's going to get an award, so when are they going to give it to you? That, I got an art award, they're going to announce it at assembly. Say, can I come and watch? You know what I mean? So that kid knows you're there just because of them.
There's no reason at our athletics days why you guys couldn't set up a barbecue at our athletics days and cook sausages for the kids. You've already got the runs on the board. Utilise it.
All right, so there's some challenge to you. You're watching this. Pray. How can you grow this? Grow yourself, your own skills, and also how can you grow your involvement? Bless you.